guys, I'm the Impaired Grappler and welcome to my podcast. Today we have a Rollcast with a very special guest, George Sotiropolous, who's a former UFC star. He's opened up his new gym, Omega Jiu-Jitsu and MMA in Collingwood in Melbourne, Australia. So yeah, we talk about his personal history in martial arts and Jiu-Jitsu, training back in the day and his UFC schedule, drilling each technique 1,000+ times, his history of injuries and lessons learned, why he wore braces. We also touched on his Greek heritage and what he learnt from teaching in his new school. We also touched on his school philosophy and schedule, and that's pretty much it. So hope you guys enjoy, and we'll catch you on the other side. Oos. Hi guys, I'm the Impaired Grappler and welcome to my podcast. Today we have a very special guest. It's George Sotiropolous, UFC star, and he's just opened up a new gym here in Melbourne, Omega Jiu-Jitsu, what's it called? Omega Jiu-Jitsu
and
MMA. So yeah, we had a light roll earlier, and we're just going to play that and talk about it and just discuss a few other things. So there we go. So yeah, basically we had a light roll before. He was very friendly. It was basically a no gi match, but so I just want to ask, like, with regards to your history, can you, like, what got you into jiu-jitsu, into martial arts?
Well, I saw the UFC in '96 or '97, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I was with a friend one night, and he said, "I have got these videos from the US where guys are fighting in cages," and I'm like, "Put it on." So he put it on, and I was blown away from it the second I saw it, and it was obviously Royce.
Yeah.
Fighting in the first 3 UFCs and winning, and he was beating guys bigger, much bigger than him.
Yeah.
And obviously I just saw the effectiveness of jiu-jitsu, and I had to learn it. So I started training shortly after with Machado affiliates here in Australia, and the rest is history.
Yeah, fair enough. So with regards to, you were pretty famous for having good jiu-jitsu in the UFC, like Eddie Bravo's singing your praises on the Joe Rogan Experience a while back. Here we have, you just took this side control here, so it was a nice fun. You were basically on top of me most of the time, knee ride, just trying to defend it. But but back in the day, like when you started training with obviously there wasn't many high-ranked people. It was a lower standard than today in Australia, because obviously it was brand new back then. So how did you go about finding the? Just let the cops go.
Yeah. So I would basically drill a lot of positions, a lot of situations. Obviously, like when everyone starts, you're the nail. Everyone else is the hammer.
Yeah.
And I realised early that I needed to learn how to defend and escape, otherwise there was no continuity in the game. Yeah. So I basically focused on that for the first 6 months of jiu-jitsu and really developed my guard and escaped, and then I was able to start implementing sweeps, submissions and passes. But I would drill a lot of repetition. I would do a lot of repetition, and I would just find anyone who wanted to roll. But I had my key training partners who, my core bunch of guys. And that, obviously they changed with time as people dropped off and new guys came in.
Well, you had a reputation of pretty much drilling every technique like 100 times after class, if you could, grabbing someone and just drilling after class. Yep. Is that true? Or?
Yeah, it is. And there were some techniques that I would do 1,000 times before. It was more than 100, but it was. I would do it out of training. I would make time and just meet someone and drill 1,000 single legs or 1,000 of whatever it was, and it became painful after a few days.
Yeah. Painful for you or for you?
Probably for everybody.
Yeah. So basically you went 50-50 with your partners, or you just did it on them?
No, we drilled cooperatively. There's drilling technique, and then there's sparring technique, two different things. But again, with three training partners, like you have to find a training partner who's going to lay the technique and not resist and defend. You have to be train specifically for a purpose. And if we're just drilling technique, or we're just replicating a position.
Replicating position, like situational, like sort of drilling and stuff as well.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. So Yeah, here we are. I'm not used to doing the no-gi stuff, but I do enjoy doing no-gi. Like when I roll with my gi, I try to think as if I don't have a gi anyway, because not rely on the grips because I get caught with one arm. I'll get caught. So, but it was it was good fun, and you let me off quite a few times. But yeah, like you had a good squeeze on that triangle. Triangle squeeze on the legs was pretty full on, so that was pretty cool. Here you got my back, which is I'm trying to defend the armbar. Yeah, so I've had to develop this defense for the arm, but then you just go to the triangle choke straight away. Those are really tight.
Yeah, I could see you were putting all your effort into the armbar, so I just switched. I didn't want to fight that battle.
Yeah, well, and that's the key to the Jiu-Jitsu. But yeah, so can you talk about like some Impaired Grappler podcast with your history of injuries?
History of injuries. I mean, I've had different injuries over the years. They happen, and sometimes you can't plan them, you can't avoid them. They just happen, and it's just part of the game.
Yeah. With regards to like any therapies or any operations or whatever, have you learned anything that you think what you know now you would do differently? Yeah,
one of my first bad injuries, I tore my hamstring one time. This is back in 2001, and it almost tore off the bone, and I didn't get any physical therapy for it. I didn't even treat it. I just left it heal by itself. And it healed, but I could have taken more care. I could have had I could have had a more proactive approach to it, and I didn't. And it could have been a better outcome, and it wasn't. So it's fine now, but things could have been better. And then later on, I had an ACL injury back in 2008, and then I basically got into physical therapy at that point, and I did a lot of physical therapy. I was very aggressive with it. I made it basically the staple of my day for many months, and I basically bounced back really strong from that injury because of the physical therapy. I basically treated that like a fight camp. So I was very diligent with the therapy. I was there daily from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day for the first month, and then it became, it went from 6 days to 5 days, and 5 days to 4 days, and 3, then 2, and so on. But there was a lot of diversity in the therapy, a lot of different types of exercises, treatments, and so on. And I basically, I could see the benefits of it, because the very first day I went in for that therapy, I hobbled in on crutches, and I walked out. I literally walked out with no crutches, and that was the first day of therapy.
So what kind of therapy was that?
It was just physical therapy. Like they call it physical therapy in the US, but here they call it physio.
Okay,
So pretty much the same thing, but both American and Australians have good reputation with PT.
Yeah.
Not personal training, physical therapy or physios.
Yeah, okay.
But I definitely, if you have an injury, I recommend seeking expert counsel or advice.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, well, I've been doing that since day one. So is that why you're famous for wearing the braces and stuff in the UFC?
No, like at the time I was training with 10th Planet, and today I'm wearing because it's a little colder, but back then it did add to the friction, and there was benefits of it, so that's why I wore it. Yeah,
well, like I've always used it for my injuries, like from footy days and triathlon days, and I did feel a benefit of using the braces while training and stuff. But I've always got on physical therapy, physio. Probably didn't like physio so much as other modalities, but I think it's if you find a good therapist. Yeah, that's the key thing. So here I got a little shoulder lock sweep, omoplata sweep there to mount. Yeah, it was like you're just like transitioning back and forth. It was pretty cool. But do you do so? What do you do now for injury? Do you do injury prevention?
Look,
and mobility?
I think if you exercise consistently and you have a conditioning regime that you do daily, that in itself is a form of therapy that strengthens the body and it constantly keeps your body primed and ready. It basically strengthens the muscle. It makes it limber. It makes it loose. It's got multiple benefits. So when you do come in to practice your martial arts, your body's already ready.
Yeah, fair enough. So here I've got the guard trying to.
But specifically, I do a lot of stretching, or I have done a lot of stretching, and that also helps.
Is it more before or is it more after class?
Both. At different times, it's been before or after, but just in general, I'm pretty flexible now in different parts of my body. But it just made I can come in and just do a very light, quick stretch, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So it's just basically moving all the body parts. And stretching. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much some good advice for people out there. So just with doing jiu-jitsu, how have you found order in times of chaos in your life? And obviously in jiu-jitsu, you're sort of like you were saying before, when you're the nail getting hammered all the time. When you start jiu-jitsu on the mount and all that sort of stuff, and finding composure. So sort of how have you found order in times of chaos?
In jiu-jitsu or in life?
In life first, and then
I guess one thing at a time. Focus on one thing at a time and solve that problem before you move on to the next one, because life is full of them. But address the issue. Just like jiu-jitsu, you have to address the issue that's causing the problem. Like, for example, you want to escape side control, and the guy's got shoulder control. Yeah. Well, first you've got to put your arms in the position to escape, such as framing. You can't escape before you frame. Then you move your hip. Then you insert your legs. Then you get out of the position. There's multiple components to the escape. Yeah. So break it down to the little things, and then focus on that, and then the big things will come eventually. Correct. Okay. And with regards to your Greek heritage, do you find that your pride in your cultural heritage has helped you, or is that has led you towards martial arts as well, or? Possibly, I think it's in my blood. But look, I'm definitely proud of being Greek. The Greeks have a history of a lot of different things. The list is really endless. War, philosophy, all those things. History, science, mathematics, democracy, virtually everything. Yeah. But the Greeks, made a big contribution to the world, and I'm proud of it. Maybe it is part of the reason why I do this. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's a bit of everything. I really don't know, but I'm definitely proud to be Greek. Yeah, they've got a good history when times get tough. Definitely. When you were in the UFC or doing MMA, what was your training schedule like? And with regards to obviously you got to do training for boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and then also incorporating the diet into that, nutrition into that. So how did you so there's a lot of aspects to training. There's the training itself, and then there's different aspects to training, such as conditioning, the martial arts, and the martial arts can be broken down into several parts. The striking, the wrestling, and the grappling. So I would try to dedicate an equal amount of time to each discipline, whether it was technique, sparring, the conditioning factor of it. And then it was the same with strength and conditioning. There's the strength component, and then there's the cardio component. So I'll try dedicate significant amounts of time to that as well. So everything has its place. Without the conditioning, I don't think you're going to do as well in MMA. as you otherwise would without it.
Yeah.
And then it's the same. And then there's also the diet. You've also got to have a very lean diet because you're fighting at a weight class, and the diet also keeps you healthy, keeps you lean, and it definitely. It has a lot to do with your energy level. If you don't eat right, your energy levels won't be right, and if you eat garbage, it'll definitely decrease your performance.
Did you supplement a lot as well?
Yep, I took a lot of basically protein powder, vitamins, minerals were part of my daily diet.
Yeah.
It's over.
Another swing. Yeah, it's done. So with regards to the, so were you doing more body weight exercises, or was it a lot more like strength and conditioning?
I did both. Most of it was free weights and plate loaded machines, cables, but yeah, it was a combination. There were times where it was just free weights, and there were other times where it was body weight. There's other times where it was like a combination of both. Calisthenics, plyometrics, a lot of throwing movements, explosive movements. It would change over time. It wasn't always the same.
Okay. So is there anything you see like getting taught today that you see people do in the UFC that you think, oh, you're doing it wrong? Or just in general when you visit gyms and see people?
Yeah, sometimes I go to a school and I see people working on techniques that aren't to their level. I think a lot of people overlook basics such as like escapes, transitions. I think they're the staple of your game. I think you got to have basic, especially when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I see everybody wants to learn submissions and fancy moves, but it's the basics of the positions, the basics of the escapes that will keep you in the game. And without those kinds of movements, it'll be hard to be in the game.
Yeah, well, you can't do the advanced stuff without the basics. Yeah. So it has, like with opening up your new school, obviously it's brand new, but has teaching helped you understand your teachers better?
It helps me understand the technique better. I think teaching helps you learn something. It helps you understand it better. I'm breaking it down so people can explain certain things. I'm seeing, people are coming in, they're learning, so they're very focused and they're trying to concentrate. So I think that a lot of these things are new to them, especially jiu-jitsu. People who've never done grappling before or never grappled before, it's so foreign to them that being on the bottom, for example, is confusing.
Yeah.
And they're how am I going to get out of this position? So you have to explain it to them and break it down.
Yeah, they get a bit claustrophobic and freak out sometimes.
Yeah.
But I found so I've started teaching the kids class, and you just pick up so much more from just trying to explain it to the children as well. It's like, it's pretty amazing. But so how do you use jiu-jitsu in everyday life? Like, is there any concepts that transfer that you found?
I would like to think that I do. I don't know. They're kind of questions that are a little deep. Yeah. I mean, are you going to cut all this up, or are you just going to?
I was just let most of it just go through.
I guess I have to say go with the flow. You have to go with the flow. Life will be easier. Life is easier when you go with the flow.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll get like Pedro Salva's like yield to wins, like just tap and then you'll move on and
I guess it's right.
Ego sort of stuff. Well, do you do any like meditation?
Sometimes I have a little bit. Sometimes, especially with getting this place up and running, I've got such a long list of things to do. It's like like I said earlier, I've got to focus on one thing at a time. But I'm juggling multiple things at the same time right now.
Yeah.
It's a new business. I'm still getting it up and running. So there's so much to do, and I realise I've just got to focus on one thing at a time to really get it done. Yeah,
fair enough. So. Back in the day, like when you were training, when you were like purple belt in the Machado Academy, like you and Eddie Bravo were both purple belts. Was that around the time when he went and when he defeated Hoyler?
No, that would have been a little bit after. I first went to train with the Machados in LA in 2001, and I was a purple belt then, and so was he, and some of my other friends at the time. And then I went to Abu Dhabi. That was 2003. I was still a purple belt. I'm not sure what he was. He might have been a brown belt at that point. I really can't remember. But that was 2 years later, in 2003.
So you're not associated, they're not going to be under the Machados?
No, I'm basically, I'm not affiliated to anybody right now. I don't know if I ever will be. I may be. I don't rule it out. I've trained with so many different people. I've learnt so many different things that I don't feel like I need to be.
So, with regards to your gym, what do you envisage in the future for your gym? For the next few years?
With regards to the school, I'm offering a complete and holistic experience, teaching, instruction within MMA. So my programs are going to offer a complete striking syllabus, of boxing, kickboxing, and Muay Thai concepts. And then same with wrestling, it's like going to cover all aspects of wrestling, singles, doubles, leg takedowns, body takedowns, trips, throws. And then it's, the wrestling's geared towards no-gi grappling as well as MMA. And then with the Jiu-Jitsu, it's going to incorporate both gi and no-gi grappling, all for the ground. Which all that encompasses MMA. But for me, it needs to be a complete holistic approach where there's no aspect of the game that isn't covered.
Okay. And so basically, that's 2 hours a day, like 2 classes a day?
I've got 2 evening classes, 6 to 8, but I'm adding day classes as I grow.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Well, I think that'll do for now.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks a lot for doing that, and thanks for the role. That was heaps of fun. Yeah. Don't usually do no gi, but I did love that.
Awesome.
So thanks a lot for that, and it was a pleasure. And thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed that Rollcast with George. Yeah, I had a really great time doing it, and be sure to check out his gym if you're in the Collingwood area. And check out his links that are in the description below, and be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed it, and check out my social media and blogs as well. I apologise for the audio. There's a few issues I had, but hopefully we'll rectify that next time. Next week we have an interview I'm really excited about it, with former Navy SEAL Jocko Willink. So I hope you guys enjoy that, and we'll catch you then.